Hello students. Today I'm going to give you a little walkthrough of the registration form for the 10th grade. So this presentation is designed for students who are currently in the 9th grade, and it's specifically for those students who are planning on taking pre-IB classes next year in the 10th grade. So some of you I know are probably in pre-IB this year, and some of you may be coming into pre-IB for the first time. So either thanks for continuing or welcome, and I'm going to talk to you about the courses that you'll need to select in order to be on track to continue in the IB program in the 11th grade if you want to, and also talk to you about some of the options as well as some of the other required classes you have for the state of Alabama. So if you have your own registration sheet with you, you can follow along and circle some things as we go. Most of this is pretty simple, and I'll try to keep it short and sweet. As we look at this sheet, the first thing you'll need to look at are the two pre-IB classes in the 10th grade. We only have two pre-IB classes in the 10th grade, and those classes are English 10 pre-IB as well as U.S. History 10 pre-IB. So those are the classes that we require you to take. Again, we want you to take those two together. A lot of people say, can I take one and not the other? Really, the whole idea of the IB program is to integrate classes across subjects, not just one at a time. There are lots of other really good classes that you can do individually, but we ask you to take those too. If you take those two pre-IB classes, congratulations, you're in the pre-IB program and you are on track with a few other class choices to enter IB when you begin your junior year. There are several choices in math, and for the 10th grade, the main thing that you want to do is to continue in the track that you're currently on with math, to challenge yourself as much as you're capable of challenging yourself, while at the same time not overloading yourself. For most of you coming out of the 9th grade, you probably took some form of geometry in the 9th grade. If you didn't, that's okay. I'll get to those folks in a moment. But if you took a geometry pre-AP, for example, in the 9th grade, again, you will just take the next class in your sequence. And for most of you, that will be somewhere over here. This year, for example, in 9th grade, if you took geometry pre-AP, you might take either Algebra 2 with Trig pre-AP. If you participated in the math team this year, I would encourage you to continue with the math team option of Algebra 2 Trig with the math team. So those are two really good options, and you'll need to decide if you're wanting to step up to team or continue with team. Certainly if you go into Algebra 2 Trig pre-AP, you're still a little more than a year ahead of most folks headed for graduation from high school. Some of you this year I know took algebra, and so your choices next year would be geometry or geometry pre-AP. If you took algebra pre-AP in the 9th grade, algebra 1 pre-AP, certainly take geometry pre-AP. And if you took regular algebra and made a good grade in that, I would say an A is a very good grade, then I would ask you to step up into taking geometry pre-AP. You'll need to step up at some point, and I think it's better to step up with a couple of classes at a time than to make all of your big leaps in the 11th grade. If you go from a lot of regular classes into all IB class in the 11th grade, that's a little bit like climbing a mountain before you've taken your first few steps. So I would encourage everyone who's taken algebra pre-AP or not in the 9th grade, if you've done well in that class, to go ahead and step up to geometry pre-AP in your sophomore year. Moving along the registration form here, you have some options in science. Most folks, not everyone, but most folks in this grade are going to take one of these classes, chemistry pre-AP, which is 220063, or the integrated chemistry and physics pre-AP. The short name for this class, 2200631. Most people call that class Chemics, so that may be what you've heard of before. Same class, one's a longer name, one's kind of a shorter nickname. I recommend folks to take Chemics if you have the co-requisites. The co-requisite class for Chemics is that you be in Algebra 2 Trig pre-AP. So this science course will then again depend a little bit on which math course you're in. But if you're in Algebra 2 Trig pre-AP, certainly if you're in Algebra 2 Trig math team, you should take the integrated chemistry and physics pre-AP course. If you're in geometry pre-AP next year, that is a co-requisite class for chemistry pre-AP. Either one of these classes are acceptable for going into the IB program in the 11th grade. It really comes down to which math class you're in. If you're in Algebra 2 Trig, please take the Chemics class. If you're in Geometry, chemistry pre-AP is perfectly fine and will get you where you need to go in the 11th grade. Moving down the page here just a bit more, the foreign language options are actually fairly simple. In this case, with the foreign languages down here in the lower left corner, you simply take the next class that's in your sequence. So this year as a 9th grader, if you took Spanish 1, then next year as a 10th grader, you'll take Spanish 2. Please take Spanish 2 Advanced. That class is designed for people who are continuing on into Spanish 3 and 4. Some folks in Spanish 2 are continuing, some are not, because a lot of people take 2 years of foreign language and that's all. Spanish 2 Advanced will better prepare you for those 3rd and 4th year classes required for IB. Same thing with Latin, and of course same thing with French as well. If you're in French 1 this year, take French 2 next year. If you're in French 2 this year, take French 3 the following year, and likewise with Latin. So you'll continue along your course, and in the 11th or 12th grade, you'll take your 4th year of your foreign language, which is the year that we require for IB. Last thing on the front of this sheet that I want to talk to you about are your health requirements. To graduate from Hoover High School, you must take health. Health is required. Driver's Ed is a very good elective, and I recommend that everyone take it, and most sophomores pair health, one semester of health, with one semester of driver's ed. The main difference here between health education and health ed blended online, one is a face-to-face 5-day-a-week class. The second one, 2500021, is called a blended online class. It meets face-to-face 1 day a week, and the rest of the work is completed online. Blended online is a good option if you're having to take 8 classes, for example, and you want to give yourself a little more time during the school day. You might consider the blended online option. And then, like I said, most people pair that with driver's ed. Some folks who are committed to a lot of different things also take health during the summer, which is an option, either face-to-face or blended online. Driver's ed is also available during the summer as well. So summer school is an option, but I don't want you to feel like you have to take summer school to be an IB. Most of your decisions are on the front of your form. On the back, you have a lot of options and decisions. Right now, you may have noticed that you're probably up to, so in that case, you want to be careful about how many choices you make on the back of the form. If you're already taking English, history, a math, a science, a foreign language, that's 5 classes. If you're taking health and driver's ed, you're up to 6. I would encourage you to limit yourself to 7 classes as a sophomore, because you don't want to burn out too early and overcommit yourself in your 10th grade year, and you still have 3 years left of high school. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, come by and talk with me, and I hope this has answered some of your questions about registration.